Hello, everyone. Bienvenidos. I'm so excited to be back. It's been a long minute. It's been a long minute. I haven't recorded an episode. I don't know. Is it a month? Maybe it's a month. But let's talk a little bit about what happened last week. Let's talk a little bit about my grand adventure at the Harrisburg Fringe Festival. I'll tell you all about it and the things that it reminded me of and why I started reading people at 16, as you all know. I started cleansing people in their homes and doing that as my early 20s. I've been doing this work over 25 years, spiritual work. And I already knew this, but it really hit home in the last few years that ancestral healing, which is at the center and the core of the work that I do, because reclaiming our intuition is ancestral healing, tapping into our indigenous practices is indigenous healing, is ancestral healing. The hypnosis that I do and the protocol I created is ancestral healing. That as I did improv and as I expanded into creating the first Latino improv team here in Pennsylvania, Los Complicados, that I was really keeping stories alive and doing healing work for myself and for those who were a part of it in a way that traditionally I wasn't doing. My ancestral healing really went around, movement, because I used to do dance and speaking and hypnosis and connecting and meditation, astrology, going deep into the work through ceremony. And now in the last few years, it's expanded into improv. And I really, really love it because not only does it help us heal our inner child, it allows us to collaborate with more ease. And one of the things that I really love about it is that it reminds us that we're all way more creative than we ever imagined. Or I think we've seen that with the growth of TikTok and Instagram and all these video posts and all these dances, like regular human beings are becoming creators and influencers who are not celebrities, right? Because we're all much more creative. Unfortunately, I would say que in general, a lot of that creativity goes towards survival, goes towards making a better life for ourselves, goes towards surviving the trauma we've been exposed to. And so for me now at the stage of my life where I've worked so much to build my business, where I worked a lot in New York City, just to be able to live there, because my rent even 18 years ago in Queens was $2,000 by myself, not to mention, all the other things. Um, that I hope that there comes a time for all of us, even in this political state and system, where we could carve out a little bit of time for the arts, whether it's drawing, weaving, cooking, dancing, whatever it may be, because I think that's also a really powerful way to do ancestral healing. So I want to talk a little bit about the new moon in Leo and why it's still important. It happened last Thursday, and I was leaving for 2 days on the beach, which I hadn't been away with my husband in years. So I was like, oh my God, I can't record the session. I wanted to record the episode. No lie, I wanted to record it while I was in the car. I actually held a gathering, the Bruja Rising community that I have for 5 years. It's really small. If you're interested, reach out. I'll tell you all about it. We do 2 events a month. One is the new moon and one is the full moon. And it's $29.99 a month if you're not in the school. And it's $21.99 a month if you are in the school. And so I was in the car. I wanted to do it, but I didn't get to. But let's talk a little bit about what we're dealing with, or what we're still in the energy of it, right? Last Thursday, today is Monday. The new moon in Leo, when you think of a new moon, it is the sky is dark. It is a time to cleanse our homes, cleanse ourselves, to release, as we say, what doesn't serve, which is harder than we imagine, also happening seamlessly as people go in and out of our lives, as opportunities close. The universe is on our side, actually setting this up for us, right? And if we fight it, we suffer more. If we go along with it, it'll still hurt. We'll still grieve the old, but we'll go along with it, I think, with greater ease. Excuse me. Friendships ended for me in the last year, that I loved and adored, that lasted for a long time. And I had to let go because sometimes you can't fight for things. If people have grown apart, people are living different lives. Sometimes we have to let it go and honor the relationship that it was. So whatever may be happening for you from last Thursday, the new moon in Leo is bringing in a whole other 6 months of time for creation. And what it means is we get to shine our light because the new moon sets intentions for the next 6 months. And in the sign of Leo, which is ruled by the sun, it's symbolized by the lion. It is about true heart-centered right? Fighting for what we love, but not fighting like this with our fists, fighting with our words, with our visibility, with standing up for what we believe in, with having bravery, being brave in our interactions. It doesn't be rude, it doesn't be mean. And so this new moon in Leo last Thursday, I was like, I'm already on you, girl. I've been doing it, right? I was like that, like all excited, like, yo estoy ahí. But I wanted to translate it for all of us and also for myself. Wherever, if you have a sun in Leo, that means the next 6 months are really powerful for you. Shine your light, stand in your authenticity, right? And I'm like, I'm already so authentic. What more can I do? But there's always more. That's the beauty of life, right? There's always more for us to share, to explore, to channel, to become aware of about ourselves. And so, with the new moon in Leo, since we're talking about clearing before we can set the intentions, it would be really amazing for you to take a moment, even though it's Monday. Sorry, I have allergies real bad. I'm doing a treatment, but I got 3 cats. I'm allergic to cats and the greens. So you'll hear me clear my throat a lot. So what we're dealing with is letting go of those things that made us shrink, of those things that made us hide, of those things that were like, oh no, I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to deal with being visible. I'm just going to stay in the background. I don't need to be seen. The thing is, yes, you do. Your heart, your love needs to be shared with the world on your terms, right? Nobody's being forced to go online and like share a million videos. No one's forced to go write a vlog or a blog or do or create the podcast. It's really about standing up for what we believe in our everyday lives, in our community, raising awareness, calling attention to, and just speaking our truth, right? So you don't have to do it in grandiose ways. You can do it in ways that serve your life and where you're at right now. Because you're like, I'm busy, Vanessa, I can't do it. Don't worry. Just be honest, right? Be honest where you are. Speak from your heart. Be truthful. Of course, be aware. There's some places we can't be honest or we'll be backstabbed and thrown out. I understand that. And then we take chances when we're honest in those spaces. But this is a time for us to really get serious about how we're showing up in the world, how we're curating our visibility. Are we hiding? Are we stepping up? Especially if you're a business owner, especially if you are somebody who wants to share, has a mission statement, nonprofit, a business, a side hustle. I even hate that word, but a side gig, something that you just believe in, maybe a nonprofit that you believe in, maybe a cause. How are you going to share it with the world in a way that's heart centered? And how have you been hiding from that? Right. So I looked at my life and I'm like, oh, it's in the third house for me. Leo's on my third house. I was like, oh, telling my siblings how much I love them, my friends, spending time with friends. Friends are leaving for Italy. We just had a pool party yesterday, going away with my husband, really being anchored in the love, right? And being honest about what I'm feeling and what I'm going through. And so it doesn't have to be something out there crazy. It can be if you want it to be, but it has to be, the invitation is for it to be something that's truly heart centered. So whatever you're doing, even if though the new moon came in on Thursday, we're still in Monday. Have a moment, cleanse yourself with agua florida, with sage, with a bell, with a clap, turn on some music, dance, go through your house, open the windows, do what you need to do to clear out the old energy, to invite the new. And especially if you're business owners, if you're somebody who wants to be seen, and inviting and asking for the right visibility, the right connections, right? To align yourself with heart centered connections, heart centered opportunities for you to share authentically. And so that's really where we're at when it comes to um, the new moon in Leo. It is also opposed, let me say this, or an opposition, not opposed, an opposition with Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto is a deep planet, it drags us to the depths. So we're going to experience transformations in how we show up, transformations in how we share our heart centered values, transformations in letting go of wanting to be liked to share actually the truth of who we are, right? So that's where we're at. Shine our light, speak authentically. Also know Pluto is in opposition in Aquarius. And so with the backdrop of the world that we live in, we're going to be going through transformation of how we can share. When is it safe to share? Now, I wanted to share about the Fringe Festival that I was a part of. That was just a week ago. It ended just a week ago, and it was really amazing. I wanted to just say, I'm using my article just as a touch base the article that I printed, I can include it. But there is really something raw and something sacred about being backstage. And it doesn't have to be a black box theater. You could be on stage. One of the productions that we did, we were on stage. There's something really powerful about waiting to go on stage and share something that's tender, that's wild, that's weird, something that you don't even know what you're going to share when you do improv, right? Because improv is an art form. There's long form and short form. I do long form. And it's an art form where you get a suggestion from the audience and then you make up relationships, dialogue, location, you make up everything on the spot. And so there's something really powerful. I'm somebody who's already been paid to speak for about 2 decades and has been guiding circles for over 20 years. But being on stage, performing is very different from me being here in the podcast, right? I had to tap into a whole other set of skills. And I had to let go of being like the leader of my business, right? To be a part of a team, which is what I truly wanted. It's one of the reasons why I got into improv. I also got into improv because I left, all my friends and my home and all the things when I came out here. And I really wanted to make friends and have a community. I'm a community centered person, and I didn't want it to just be a community that I created, right? I'm always creating communities online. I also wanted to be in communities that I don't have to manage, communities where I'm completely free of responsibility, just of course, the responsibility of being kind. And so there's something really magical about waiting to go on stage. And that's been part of the beauty and the chaos of the Fringe Festival that I experienced. For me, the Fringe was part portal, part performance, part breakdown too, and part initiation. And I'll tell you why breakdown. So, what exactly is the Fringe Festival? You're like, Vanessa, you're talking about this. I don't know. The Fringe Festival is a curated platform for original independent performance across genres. So it spans theater, comedy, music, dance, improv, spoken word, just so many different types of performance all around. And it is rooted in creative freedom and accessibility, right? Like if you're a celebrity or you're famous or you're a renowned performer or you've auditioned to be in a play, that's one thing. Fringe festivals provide space for both emerging and established artists to take risks, experiment, and connect directly with audiences. We usually and typically send in an application. There's a fee, $30, I think, if it's early. For some Fringe festivals, there's no fee. And then you just pay for the lighting, right? For the tech, the lights and the sound. There are some Fringe festivals, I think York Fringe Festival, I'm going to be a part of that September. There's no fee. So that's wonderful. For the Harrisburg Fringe Festival, there was a fee. Now, the Harrisburg Fringe Festival that I was a part of was an inaugural festival, July 6th to 9th, starting 2023, and repeated every year since. So in 2023, I took Cosmic Trash, which was a show that I performed at the Harrisburg Improv Theater, I think at that time already for a year. And I brought 3 of the women, and we were tarot readers, and we brought in ancestors, we brought in inner child, we had a goddess of the crossroads, and we did this improvised play. It was phenomenal. We did it at a big theater, the Gamut Theater, shout out to Gamut Theater. And we filled 100 seats the first year, and I think like 80 seats the second year. And the Harrisburg Fringe Festival has annually brought about 2,000 audience members to see their 35 to 40 shows over 4 days by 100 plus artists, most of which are local, in 6 to 10 venues all over downtown and midtown Harrisburg. So this is an amazing thing. 6 to 10 locations in the area choose to house artists, right? And we get to perform, we promote, and we get to keep the money. That's why it's so innovative, right? It allows us to try things while making some money and getting exposure. The Harrisburg Fringe Festival is non-juried, uncensored, and gives its producing artists 100% of their ticket sales, as Fringe festivals in Europe and Canada routinely do, according to international norms established by the world-famous Edinburgh Festival Fringe. It is the oldest and the largest, and that's in Scotland. Like, that's the dream of so many people. There are thousands and thousands of people who go to the Fringe Festival and watch and perform every year at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. So we brought it here to Harrisburg, the capital of Pennsylvania. And I think that as humans, we continue growing, right? And when we accept these challenges of becoming, we are more ourselves. And so I think that, as I said earlier, we're so, so creative. Humans are capable of shining our light and co-creating community when it's needed. And that's what I think the Fringe is, right? I left the Fringe with eye bags because, like, some of the nights I didn't sleep very much. I had a bruise on my knee from playing a bunny rabbit who gets shocked by a fence. I did, and then I fell on the ground. And my heart was really cracked open from all of our friends showing up and overflowing with love. It's really an amazing thing to be performing on stage and just looking at the first row, and all of your improv friends are there or in the back, and they're hooting and they're clapping and they're cheering you on. And then whole bunch of strangers that you've never met. Now, I've been performing at the Harrisburg Fringe Festival for the last 3 years, but this year I did a thing. And I know you're going to think I'm crazy. People think I'm crazy. I decided to perform 11 times in 4 days at the Fringe with 6 different groups. I'm going to talk about them. And the indie film that I'm in, River City Stories, which I'm a lead in a particular story. I'm the lead called MC, Mary Celeste. It was also screened 3 times. So in total, people could have seen my face at least 14 times in 4 days. And now that I'm on the other side of this, I wrote about it. And I'm going to get personal because some of it is personal. It's like really intense. And I will say this at the top of the game. When I came out of 4 days of performing, and I did 5 shows on Sunday, and 2 of them were back to back. I literally ran from one show, took off my t-shirt, went to the restroom, put on the t-shirt that said Los Complicados, and ran in to do Latino improv. And I will say that the performing didn't exhaust me as much as some of the emotional stuff with family that I was experiencing and the lack of sleep from such stress of family. But the actual performing, I have the capacity to do it. If I was someone who never performed and suddenly had to do 11 shows in 4 days, yeah, I'd be broken. But the truth is that sometimes I'm on stage 2, 3 hours at the Harrisburg Improv Theater. And that's a gift because in New York, I hear that people in New York theaters, not only are courses very expensive, according to New York rates, but they also have to audition so many times to be able to get on stage to perform. And so one of the things that I was reminded about, so I'm going to go through headlines. One of the things that I was reminded about in the Fringe Festival is that and I think that I'm sharing this too, because this is for you if you're healing from ancestral trauma. This is for you if you're trying to have more visibility in your business. This is for you if you are growing in your spirituality. I think that the things I'm about to share that have to do with performance could actually be for all of us in any place of our life, right? So one of the things that I was reminded of is that it's not about perfection. It's about expression. So think about it. It's not about perfection. It's about expression. A lot of us Latinos and a lot of us immigrants, and a lot of us folks were raised like, gotta be perfect, gotta be perfect. We're going to be judged. The Fringe is not about polish. It's about presence. It's about the power of honesty, of the messiness, the unscripted moments. Your show might not do well technically, but land emotionally. And that's what people remember and how you made them feel, not whether or not your mic was working, right? So we had a show that I really, really adore that wasn't timed accurately. And so we had to cut 3 scenes. And so we stumbled a little bit when we came back, but then we all held each other up. And it was a beautiful show and everyone loved it. And so take this to life, right? It's not about perfection. It's not about being perfect in a relationship. It's not about being a perfect mom. It's not about a perfect business. It's about presence, it's about showing up. It's about being there with your whole heart. The second thing that I was reminded of is that performance stress can shift empathy. Anxiety can make people shut down and others step up with generosity. Different people react differently to stress, not because they were unkind, but because their nervous systems were in overdrive. I also saw people soften, bring snacks, hug it out mid panic. Some people shrink under pressure, other people expand. So don't take it personally. It's rarely about us. You could apply this to a family gathering, to a big event, to a business, to a summit that you're running, to something that you shared and people aren't acting kindly. It's about their nervous system and not your worth. This happened to me the night after I had the opening. So Thursday was the opening and I did 2 shows that day. I was teaching in New York City on Thursday. I taught Wednesday and Thursday, 57 teens. We did a leadership circle. I then ran to the train stayed on the train 3.5 hours, jumped out. My husband waited for me with a car and drove me to the theater to do Cinderella. My name is Cinderella is a beautiful play by Josh Dorsheimer, who's a dear friend, and it is a queer fairy tale. So I ran to do that on Thursday, and then later that night at 11:15, my friend Lisa Hollenbach and I did Cosmic Trash, which is two tarot readers with one ancestor doing improv and reading the audience, okay? Reading people to filth. So the next night, I was supposed to do Voices of Peace with my husband and stepdaughter and stepson, her husband and a friend. And I want you to know that my husband had asked me to sing a song. And I'm sharing this not to harm anyone, but it's more to share a story that I went through in case you go through the similar thing. And what wound up happening is my husband wanted me to sing a song in Spanish 4 months before. And I'm like, honey, I'm going to be doing so many shows. I don't know if I could sing. Will I have a voice? I have allergies. So I said no. But I decided a couple of days before that I would do it. So that day, we were all going to do a little run through at the house before we went to the theater to do the show and read poetry out loud and sing. And I decided to do it a cappella because the two musicians there who are American were like, oh, it's too hard. It's Spanish chords. We're not used to this. This takes time. This is not what we do. But the musician that was at it, he said, don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. This is a very hard song to sing, without ever hearing me sing or without like knowing my capacity, or the fact that even though I guess I'm a naturalized citizen, I'm still bilingual and bicultural and was raised in a home where I spoke Spanish all the time. So the song, it ain't that hard for me. Okay. So what wound up happening in true Vanessa style is that we went through it and I sang it anyway. I tapped on my leg and I sang it a cappella. When I finished, my husband clapped and said, hey, everybody. Everybody was in anxiety. My stepdaughter's face, her husband, everybody, the musicians. Oh, 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 oh. If I'd taken that personally, I probably would not have performed and sang. But I said to Spirit, hey, these people are acting really weird because of their own lack of experience performing. I'm a performer. And I sang in a band. I've belly danced. I've done a lot of things. I've danced in a parade. So I was like, okay, God, universo. If I'm supposed to sing this song in Spanish, give me a sign. Now, why was it important to me? It wasn't, there was another person singing who had an incredible voice. They'd been to their master's degree in music. For me, it was about what's happening in this country and being a Latina who can sing in Spanish and raising our Spanish voice out loud for it to be heard in another language. And so I told him that. I said, this is why it's important. But no one except my husband really backed me up. I decided to sing it. I want you to know that it was stressful to sing in front of 50 people a cappella. I sang from my heart. And that's where it's about presence and not perfection. Like, was I technically perfect? Hell no. Did I practice the song a lot? No. Did I sing it from mi corazón? Yes, indeed. And there were a couple of Latinos in the audience. Their eyes got teary-eyed. There were a couple of people who were like, I don't know what you said, but I read your heart. And they got like emotional. And the point of what I wanted to do happened. And so don't let other people's attitudes or their anxiety, and I spoke with my stepdaughter and I spoke with people after, and they're like, oh, it was our anxiety. I'm like, yeah, but it was still uncomfortable, right? If we're going to be reading poetry about kindness to the world, we have to start with the people around us. I also get it that anxiety took over, there was emotional contagion, and they did what they did. But I'm proud of myself that I still sang. And so if you're ever in a situation, if you're going to do a speech for your business, if you're going to do something and family isn't responding, let it go. They're limited by their fears and their anxiety. Only you can control how you show up. And sometimes, we can have panic attacks. Things can happen. We could breathe through it. People are way more understanding than we give them credit for, right? Another thing that I will say that I learned or I was reminded of, not everyone will understand your process, and that's okay. Some folks in the cast and your audience and your family may not get why you're crying over your character. We're chanting affirmations before a film shoot. Honor your path. You're not too much. You're deeply in it. You have to honor your magic. I had the great, great honor of being invited to be a lead in a story. It was like a 24-page script for River City Stories, right, by Paul Hood, Wallace McKelvey. We shot over 50 hours of footage in less than 2 weeks while I was teaching on Tuesdays, coaching people, working my full-time business, and also going to New York and teaching there, and also going to practice for my performances. So we shot when we could, and we shot a lot in the summer. That means it's hot, right? The moment I got that script, I'd been kind of bitching about the universe, how all the thin people get all the roles and the this and the that and ageism. And I got the script and I cried because it's a full woman, a multidimensional person who has sadness and pain and fears and covers it up with alcohol, has lovers, but no long lasting relationship, has friends who don't even know what she's going through. This was a juicy role for somebody who's not a size 0 or size 2 or size 4, and also 20 or 30 or even 40. My husband wasn't too thrilled because I have 2 lovers and I'm supposed to kiss people, but, I changed it. I was like, "Guys, I can't kiss anybody in the movie because I wanna stay married." But I know that people didn't really get it. And there was a scene where she gets fed up and she does something drastic. And afterwards, I was crying. And the whole team, the boom mic and the director and my friend who was there helping, like, they all hugged me. I was all crying. So not everybody's gonna get it. It doesn't matter. Do it anyway. Not everybody's gonna get it. I'm so proud of myself. Like, some of the images, I'm like, "Whoa, you don't look that good." But at some point, I said to God, the universe, I was just bitching about this. I got this surprise script. I'm grateful. I'm gonna do this to the best of my capacity. So maybe I'm not as thin as I used to be. Maybe I'm plumper than I would like on film. Maybe I'm looking older and more tired than I would like on film. I don't care. I said, "Let me be a good actor. Let me channel the wisdom." And I'm getting emotional because a lot of you may not know that I'm actually a trained actor, and I've spent 3 years training in theater and film, worked in casting and TV when I was younger and gave it up because it was just all too much, and I was alone in New York City. So this is also a gift. Be open. Be open to receiving gifts that you did not know that you would get. And it is Mercury retrograde season now, right? And we're also in a lot of retrogrades. Things and loves are going to come around from your youth, from another time, that remind you that they still exist inside of you. And they're also going to maybe bring up parts of yourself. Sorry, guys. I said on this a while because I don't want to cry, but I witnessed so many people going through so much change and transformation, decades. But I also am transparent about allowing you to see the transformation that I've been through. And by the time I got here 80 years ago in 2017, I was already an established healer, a professional. And what's uncovered within me is the performer, the artist, the actor, the channeler, and the channeler of performance, the channeler of personalities, the sacred act of being a vessel for playful expression. And that's come through for me. And so doing this film, being part of Hyena sketch shows that I did that as well. We performed to a sold out audience the last night, 150 people, but we did 3 shows. All of this has been happening in my life while I'm still running a business. Maybe not so much shooting, recording episodes, but it's brought parts of myself back. So, if you're like 30 or 40 or 60 or 70 and something that you loved to do when you were younger comes back to you suddenly, allow the universe to bless you with these opportunities. Another thing I was reminded of was being yourself is the whole point. Fringe doesn't reward imitation. It amplifies the original, the offbeat, the raw, the weird, the real. And whether you're channeling your ancestors through a dance or doing improv as a psychic improviser, that's what we were doing, or being or a card carrying chancla clown, okay? Because Los Latinos, Los Complicados perform too. The magic happens when you stop performing and start being. The weird will set you free. So I performed, River City Stories was shown on screen in Midtown Cinema 3 times. It will come back around soon, somewhere. I'll share it. I perform with Cinderella. My name is Cinderella. I perform with Los Complicados. Los Complicados are the first improv troupe in Central PA and Pennsylvania. Been around a year. We're beginning to get hired for Hispanic Heritage Month. If you're out there and you have any connections, you want to hire us, we will travel. So just reach out. But it's been an act of love, especially during these times, to travel and be part of festivals, to share our historias, to share a passion, to share our cultura in a different, unique way. So be yourself. Another thing that's connected to the other thing that I shared earlier is that people's behavior reflects their inner world, not your value. Maybe someone didn't compliment you on something that you did. Maybe you're getting weird energy from a stranger. It's really more about what's happening inside of them. So don't let it like wreck your world. Learn to discern what energy is yours and what's projection. This is the same in business, in your career, in your life, right? In the doggy park. Let people be who they are. They have their own lives, their own traumas, their own situations, and let you be who you are. Another thing I was reminded of was that rest is part of the creative process. Of course, I learned this the hard way. Honestly, I was channeling that this Sunday. The Sunday I did 5 shows. I slept like 4 hours because the night before I was up till 6 in the morning, too excited and still trying to heal from like how I felt, my family acted. So, yeah, burning the candle both ends might get you to show up, but it'll cost you later. So sleep is sacred. I will say that I ate appropriately, that I drank a lot of water. I only got maybe 6 hours of sleep the first night and then 4 hours the other 2 nights. But as soon as it was over, I started to get 6 to 7 hours. So schedule your nervous system into the rehearsal process. This is the same thing with business, right? Or a career, or going back to school, or having kids, which is really hard. Kids is the hardest, I think. Um, Rest is creative. We took 2 days off after the Fringe because we needed just to go on the beach. I still did a little work because, yo soy como soy, but it brings me joy. Another thing I will say that I found this really interesting. When I told people that I did 11 shows in 4 days, they were like, ugh. I'd be like, don't make that face. I get to do this. I get to do this. And this is the thing that I've been telling people. There's so many places where there's creativity gatekeepers where you can't get in to express yourself. There's so many um, things where we're not allowed to enter. Only celebrity or only people who've been training or studying or are famous for what they do. And we get locked out of those spaces. So being able to perform 11 times in 4 days is only a serious blessing to me. And I'm grateful that my mind, body, and spirit were able to handle it. So another thing I was reminded of was that silliness is sacred. There is medicine in absurdity and ridiculousness. A midnight tarot ritual, a spontaneous interpretive dance, a fake mustache. These things can dismantle the ego and awaken joy. A lot of us, we take ourselves really freaking seriously, pero demasiado. And I get it because it's survival. I take myself seriously as a healer because I want you to trust me and respect me. And I want to have integrity so you know that you can hand your psyche, your mind, body, and spirit over in hypnosis or in a session. And then I'm going to honor it because I'm worthy of that trust, right? At the same time. It is so good to be silly and ridiculous. So, my suggestion to all of you is let yourself play. The soul loves ridiculousness and we need it. And so, what was really great about that is I also performed with the Offbeats. The Offbeats I've been performing with for 6 years, and they do musical improv. We do musical improv. So, we get 2 movies that are opposites usually, and then we create a musical based on these 2 movie ideas. And we make up all the songs, we make up all the characters. The offbeats were hilarious to play with. I think I was like 5 characters one day or 6 characters because 2 of our performers had to leave to go perform in something else. And so it was such a blessing, right? Okay, community over competition. So I helped coach a team that jury's out, which is amazing, by the way. They do a comedic courtroom show. And they had asked me to perform in it, and I said, "No, no, no," but at the last minute, they were like, "Oh, do you wanna perform?" And I said, "Okay," and I came on as a witness, so I was a witness, and that was the 11th show. So applaud wildly for your peers, help someone with their props. This is what I like to do, take photos and videos of performances. I love to do it even in the regular theater because then Facebook will put it up in a year and you'll be like, "Oh, remember that?" Or 7 years later. Help people out, be there. Community over competition, that's in your comunidad, in your family, in your job, in your business. Because when one of us shines, we all do. The real currency of the Fringe, honestly, is mutual uplift, not audience size. I will say though that that team sold out twice. So I think they had 100 people in 2 shows, which is amazing. Now, the stage is a mirror. The stage is a mirror, just like video work is a mirror, right? It reflects your insecurities and like, I no quiero, ama, da, 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 la papada, like, all the things. The double chin, the this, the that, do I look good? The stage is a mirror. It's going to reveal your fears, your desires, your wounds, your healed places too. Let it, because what you resist will continue showing up. Resist persists. What you've transformed already will hold you. And art is a ceremony too. Show up for your business or your life or your video or your speech or your improv class or your drawing class or your macrame class like it's sacred because it is, right? And that's really important. Another thing that I was reminded of was that you can't do it alone, nor should you. Okay. Fringe in life is going to humble you. We need to ask for help. We need to let someone hold our light or run our lines or join us at the last minute. Cosmic Trash was supposed to be 3 women, a trio, and one of our beautiful performers, Ashley Madavi, had to go to something with her family. And so I decided to call in amazing performers from 2023's Fringe, who were ancestors at the time, to come in and be our ancestor. And that was amazing. So Lisa Weitzman, big ups and shout outs to Andy Tiroli. And they were amazing. And they just came in at the last minute and we just clicked because we performed together. But it made it so much more fun to be able to do scenes. And it was, it's like a 50-minute show, guys. So it was great to be able to do work. But I didn't flinch. I didn't even think twice. Now, a lot of times in our business, we're afraid to ask people to promote, to share our stuff. The thing is, we need a wider net. So don't be shy. Ask for support, ask for help, and also return the favor, right? And so I've talked about River Cities, the film that I was in. I've talked about the poetry, which was Voices of Peace. I've talked about Los Complicados. I've talked about the Offbeats. I've talked about Cinderella and Jury's Out. I've talked about all of them, right? Let me see if there's anything else that I'm leaving off my list. Yes, Cinderella, Voices of Peace, Jury's Out, Los Complicados, Cosmic Trash, and the Offbeats. So I've talked about all of them. Those are all my shows. One of the teams I've been playing with for 6 years. So do you think we don't know each other? There's obviously new people. And so know that you're braver than you think. Step out if you want to do a fringe. Take an art class. If you want to start a business, don't be afraid. I know it's scary, right? I built one business, now I'm building another. I have the Bizbruja, I'm building Improv Unleashed, which I'm getting more work. We wrote the script for the fringe. We showed up. To stand up and speak out and share something original in this world that wants conformity is huge. It's for the brave, and you've got this. So if you're building a business, if you're thinking about doing the fringe, if you're thinking of performing, if you're thinking of starting a podcast, remember, you get to do this. Our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our great-grandmothers didn't get to do this. And so the fringe reminded me that self-expression is a form of spiritual resistance. In a world that wants us quiet and neat, digestible, and calmadita y tranquilita, and all these things, standing on stage with your raw, really shining truth is revolutionary. Whether the stage is you're making a speech in front of a nonprofit, whether the stage is the fringe itself, whether the stage is here in front of a vlog or a podcast, allow yourself to connect to that inner child, to the inner magic of expression. So many of us were shut down at a young age. So many of us leaned into our logic, our intelligence, our creativity kind of serves that logic. What if logic served our creativity? We've got to do it, I think. So creating is going to stretch you, strip you, surprise you, and somehow return you to your truest self, wilder and more alive. I've got to tell you, after doing 11 shows in 4 days, I'm so excited for the retreats I'm planning for next year for my business. I'm excited about the things I want to create for all of you, the course that I've had in my heart, the things that I want to continue making in my business and in my life just for pure joy. It is, me ha creado una batería. There's an internal battery. There's an internal engine that's alive and vibrant. Because when you face your fears and you release shame and release guilt and know that you're meant to take up space because you exist, that's everything. So if you're thinking of creating a business, a podcast, anything, reach out to me. Let's work together. You guys know that I'm a business coach. You know that I'm a healer. You know that I have all these tools at my fingertips. You do not have to be perfect. You just have to be real. And that is more than enough. So reach out to me, book a free chat if you're thinking of a podcast, something creative, building a business, and let's do this. Okay. I'm now like adding that I'm an improv bruja, but it's been really an amazing experience. Like I said, next year I'm not doing this again. I'm not. I'm not going to be doing 11 shows in 4 days. And not because it sucked or it was bad, but I already did it. I'm going to do something else, right? To be honest with you, I'm working on my one woman show. Hey, it's supposed to go on in a month, so pray for me. And my retreat is coming up. Oh, yeah. I have to talk about it. My retreat, the fall equinox retreat. I usually do a spring equinox, but I have a fall equinox coming up September 19th, 20, and 21st, coming up soon in Duncannon, Pennsylvania. Let me know if you're interested. I'll send you the information. I'm so excited. We're going to be doing a lot because it's a different time of the year. There will be ceremony, there'll be healing, there'll be connection, some astrology, deep work, joyful work, reconnection work. If you want more information, there are 3 spots available. And I did not increase the rate. I said I was going to go to 1,100. I did not. I stayed at 777, and it's payment plans of 150 every month. So let me know if you want to do it. I'm here. I would love to do it. My retreats next year are going to be different. And I'm leaning more towards creating more luxury for next year. This is more accessible, at least in my opinion. And I want to do something different. So it's going to be different. I'm sending you all so much love. Thank you for traveling with me through this journey of self expression. Know that the next 6 months are going to invite us into a transformation about how we stand up for what we believe in and how we speak or don't speak in our families. And if you're in a business or in a career, really reclaiming, right? Because so many of us have fears about speaking up or being seen without a speech prepared because people made fun of us, they bullied us, maybe we were learning English, maybe we didn't, however it goes. Pero somos suficiente. We are enough. I love you all so much. Thank you for being on this journey. Los quiero mucho. And remember, it's still time. Cleanse your house, cleanse yourself, set those intentions. I know that we're going on a transformation journey. All right, mis amores. Bye-bye.